Akinnuoye-Agbaje and the cast down to the stage.
Thank you.
So I can only imagine with your directorial debut being a story that's so intimately personal, it must have felt like a lot was at stake. Can you tell me a bit about what some of the essential elements you felt the story in the film needed to have?
Essential elements was just truth. As you can see, it's some tough subject matter at times, and very rarely do we get unflinching look at that side of life. For many reasons, people have an image of Great Britain that maybe of the monarchy, James Bond, the Beatles, but here's a perspective of life in Britain as a black immigrant, and that's rarely, if ever, told. And if I get the opportunity to stand up here as an obligation, not just for myself, but for those of us that have experienced growing up as an immigrant or minority in Britain, to share that experience and perhaps create a dialogue where we can honestly reevaluate our relationship to immigrants. And that's just one of the reasons. And the other, obviously, important element is the importance of maternal love and the impact of education, how that can sort of turn one's life around if you have the right opportunity and gender self-worth. So I felt it was very important to put those elements in.
I wonder also, is this a story that you always knew that you wanted to tell, and in this way?
I didn't know I wanted to tell it, to be honest. I think necessity was the mother of invention. I couldn't sleep at night, and I had a lot of success in my actual career and my life, but that was something that was always plaguing Damson Idris, by the way. That's probably a great time to introduce the cast. Talking about how unflinching truth, and what I put these wonderful human beings through. Obviously Damson Idris, who was playing Anatom, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who played Miss Dapper, who was an amalgamation of several characters in my life that were the catalyst for me turning around, and my complex, flawed hero of a mother, played by this wonderful lady, Beckinsale. So it's a dream come true to tell the story, and a dream cast to help me tell it. So perhaps,
Do you want to talk about your approach to casting and what you were looking for in the performer and the actors?
For me, I was an actor by profession, so for me it was all about authenticity. People but also, I fortunately worked with Gugu several projects and had glaring evidence of how brilliantly powerful she was. But for me, it's the essence of these actors and actresses that appealed to me, because they embodied the spirit of the character. Gugu has this inherent purity, and Kate has this natural, relatable stardom and gravitas that was needed, and complexity. but always that will draw you back to loving her. And Damson, you know, as you saw, at times it's very intense and dark, but he always has this vulnerable sensitivity that keeps you rooting for him. And those are unique qualities to them. And I knew once I cast them, I could trust that. Once I created this space, because I knew they were perfectionists and professionals, but they also embodied the essence of the characters that I've written and portrayed. So, I mean, I'll let them speak for themselves how that experience was. But,
I'd love to hear how the experience was for
how was it, Kate, playing my mother?
It was very scary. You feel such a huge responsibility when it's somebody's life and somebody's life that you admire and like very much, and whose story moves you so much. And there's always a big responsibility when it's somebody who's a real person. But in particular, in this case, I think because she was so complicated in terms of her love for Enatan and her ignorance, and there were so many different things that I wanted to make sure that we got, because having talked to Adewale, obviously the movie that I wanted to make up speaking to him was about 14 hours long, because it's got some amazing stories that didn't make the movie. But I really wanted to have that sense of a kind of a love story between these two people who sort of shouldn't really have met, actually. And I just felt really privileged that I was asked, and very surprised that I was asked, because it's not every day someone comes to me and asks me to do a part like this. So there was something really extra touching about it that Addy asked me.
Thank you. The question was about just our experience. Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, the moment I read the script, I thought it was so visceral and, like you said, unflinching. And I felt like it's a chapter of British history that we've never really seen on film before, from a point of view we've never seen on film before. And for me, you know, I was really drawn to this identity story, really, and it's so complex psychologically. And I really felt like Miss Dapo, you know, as Adewale said, you know, that really shows the compassion, but also the power of education and the power of, you know, being able to meld your cultures, melding cultures through education, and actually how much education can bring you a sense of identity and self-worth. And just having a figure that really understood, you know, or could see potential in any. So I was really drawn to that, you know, complexity and the courage that it takes for Adewale to tell his own story. I just think there's so much power in that. So yeah, it just felt like a difficult story, but an important story to be told.
Sorry I came in late, I had to drop the kids off at the pool. Have to tell a joke so I feel comfortable, it's how I am. The experience of playing artists was beautiful. It was really challenging. I deliberately tormented myself throughout this movie. I'd look in the mirror and call myself names. I'd encourage the cast to physically and verbally abuse me. And, you know, from the early stages, the rest of the skins, who were amazing, by the way, would always apologize after that. They'll be like, yeah, get on the floor, coon! And I'm like, Damson, I'm so sorry, man. And then we encouraged them, and Adewale encouraged them to kind of, you know, just be fully in it. And they really helped me to get into the character. Ade would whisper in my ear dark things all the time. But this movie, for me, the reason I really wanted to do it was because it had a happy ending. Meeting Adewale and seeing how much he's accomplished in his life, and knowing his story truly shows that you can triumph through adversity and through any downsides of life. So, congratulations to you, sir.
Repeat the question so that folks hear. The question is, why did Adewale decide to tell the story now?
Honestly, Walter, if I could have told it 15 years ago, I would have. because it took that long to make. But I think there's always the timing, and this has been I could make a movie about the journey of farming just to get here. I think essentially as well, I had to mature with various issues, and as I matured, so did the screenplay. I think that's part of why it happened, and I think also the world and where we're at now, diverse voices are now getting an audience, and that wasn't the case when I was toting my project around every corner of the globe. I mean, people, for some reason, at that time it wasn't common for actors to take the helm as directors. We were pretty much told to stay in our lane, and then, it's an ambitious project for a small film. I mean, it's a period film with lots of children and stars, and I'm a first-time director, so that's always a challenge to get people to bet on you. But I think right now we're in a time when, minority voices are being heard, and it's the right time. These issues that are raised in the film have existed 50 years ago and still exist now. And I think that's part of the reason that you don't know of farming is because it's kind of swept under the carpet. And I've simply just raised the carpet for my own cathartic healing, and I hope for the generation of people who went through it. And just maybe that it will inspire a dialogue about parenting, about, the effects of racism on the human being, and just certainly in our nation and as a world as a whole, just how we embrace each other as, our immigrant population. So I think the world is ready for that. I won't go into the politics that have raised it, but I think you're aware of what's going on. So that's what
This is majestic.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right here at the front is about the process that Adewale went through to get through his self-hate. This is self-hate that's portrayed in the film.
Well, as I said, there were several characters that were amalgamated to form one in Miss Gapo's character that really supported me. It was a girlfriend at the time, who really is my first black girlfriend, who made me aware of my blackness, the smell. I didn't know that was a familiar black smell. I was always told I smelled like a monkey. And, even her hair, and she actually educated me that I needed to oil my skin. My white mother didn't know that, she thought she was just the way we were. So that relationship and relationship with a social worker and a pupil, they really, really supported me. And I think once I've gotten the incentive to be curious and explore, I took my own lead. I started delving into history, whether it was Walter Mosley, whether it was Malcolm X, whether it was Wole Soyinka, and I started to take trips back to Nigeria of my own accord to discover my own heritage on my own terms. I met Fela Kuti and realized, okay, there is an Africa that I could belong to. So it was a process, and it didn't happen overnight. That story explains my life between 6 weeks and 16. I'm now 51. So it's taken that journey to come to this point, and it's always ongoing, but I'm firmly planted as to who I am and my purpose in life now.
It's about the score, the soundtrack, and the process and development of music.
Necessity was the mother of invention in this movie. We were so low on budget and simply couldn't afford some of the source tracks that we needed to create that nostalgic feel. And I'm a bit of a musician myself, and I always had 2 tracks that were going to be the top and tail end. But I have to give credit to producer Janice Williams, who used to be the manager of Rolling Stones, and she heard the music and suggested that we use my music. And then we brought in a wonderful composer who's in the house, Ilan Esperi, if he wants to stand up. who came on board, and we crafted this wonderful composition, and then just literally created the original tracks. I would watch the scenes and we would write the tracks as we watched them. And we had such a short amount of time that we just had to do it within half an hour. And it was only because I was working with such great musicians like Ilan Eskery and Steve McLaughlin, who was also the producer partner. I was surrounded by a team of musicians and made the music that you hear today. Thank you.
Just one from the top is our last question. Question is about directorial influences.
Right, that's a great question. Thank you for the compliment. And I mean, as I said before, I can sell you movies, but not particularly directors at the moment. But you know, Once Were Warriors, Boys Don't Cry, City of God. These were all movies that have inspired me and that I used as a reference for the making of this one. The list goes on, but I think also the fact that I've been acting for 20 years, I've always taken it upon myself to learn and glean what I can while I'm on set. So to be honest, that really was my education, just my craft, just being on there, being curious, asking questions. And I've been fortunate enough to work with some great directors here in this town, actually. Jim Sheridan, we shot a film here. He was a great inspiration to me. Tom Fontana, who I did Oz with, was a great inspiration to me. So the list can go on, but I think primarily because I've been immersed in the business for about 20 years, just acting. I've just every opportunity. I was always behind the camera, watching what they were doing. I was just curious.
Thank you all so much for being here.